So let's talk about the game. Joined live now by our Bills insider, Vic Carucci. All right, Vic, you've been covering the NFL for decades here. We finally made it to this big matchup between the Bills and the Bengals. And you talk about the Bills' pass rush and how important it is that they're going to get pressure on Joe Burrow. His offensive line is going to be missing some key starters on Sunday. This information coming out just earlier today. What should we know about that?
Yeah, and this is where I think it has to start, the conversation about this game Sunday, that Jonah Williams, Alex Kappa, two frontline offensive linemen for the Bengals, will not be playing Sunday. This team is also missing another starter, so it's three guys down from, and it's actually two more than they had down from when these teams previously met in Cincinnati in the regular season, the game that wasn't finished. It's a big deal. It isn't just the sacks, and let's talk about the fact that Joe Burrow has been sacked 23 times in 5 career postseason games. That is the second most in NFL history. Now, 9 of those came in a divisional round game against Tennessee last year, and they still won that game. It was close. Burrow didn't throw a touchdown. But the point with the pressure that you generate is that you get him off his mark, get him uncomfortable, and that's every bit as important as, if not more important, than the sack total. That will be the mission of the Bills, minus Von Miller. So Greg Rousseau and company, Boogie Basham, Shaq Lawson, Ed Oliver, go down the list. All of those guys have to rise to the occasion, along with some schematic work by Leslie Frazier to get the job done.
All right, let's stay with the Bills defense, Vic, and talk about the secondary. The Bills have been relying pretty heavily on depth and some younger players due to those injuries. How do they manage against this explosive group of wide receivers on the Bengals and then, of course, the guy throwing them the ball?
Yeah, and Michael, I'll take you back to last Sunday because there were some outstanding big play receivers for the Miami Dolphins that they faced. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. And they held up reasonably well, but that was Skylar Thompson throwing the ball, the rookie quarterback making his first postseason appearance, and a far cry from Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has outstanding receivers, of course, in Jamar Chase, in T. Higgins. They can stretch the field and, long and wide, and Joe Burrow has tremendous accuracy. So combination of that pass rush that I just mentioned, but also the young players, Kaiir Elam, who got an interception last week, the rookie corner. That was a big deal, confidence builder. Dean Marlowe, safety, who has given them some depth in the secondary, getting a pick as well. And I think that has maybe stepped up, given a sense of stepping up for a secondary that is still missing badly the presence of Micah Hyde, his leadership, his direction. And Tre'Davious White, while an outstanding corner when healthy, is still not at that full level yet.
Vic, on the other side of the ball, Josh Allen had some costly turnovers last weekend that led to these short fields, points for the Dolphins. How do you anticipate Josh is going to perform this weekend? I mean, he typically does pretty well when the spotlight is there, and this is as big a spotlight as you get until next week and then the game after that. Right. How do you see Josh sizing up?
Right. It keeps ramping up by the week, right, Michael? Well, look, here's the thing. A lot of us, me included, Adam and I talked about this, the idea that the turnovers are a problem. And then if they play the way they played against the Dolphins, 3 turnovers by Allen, 2 interceptions and the fumble, and 3 in each of their last 3 games, though, but they've been part of an 8-game winning streak, the turnovers collectively by the Bills. So what I'm going to say is, yes, they matter, and yes, they're a concern, turnovers, but the Bills do know how to overcome them. And I wouldn't suggest that they should recast what they do offensively to cut down on turnovers, because what they do offensively is be aggressive, take chances, try to get touchdowns and not just first downs. And I think that approach is why the Bills are where they are, what they are. And against Cincinnati, as we know, that offense can be so explosive. This is not the time to say, oh, wow, we might turn the ball over. You better not be aggressive. They're going to be aggressive, and they'll probably have to suffer some turnovers along the way.
And Vic, I'm sure you know this. Since 1973, when they built the stadium, now known as Highmark Stadium, the Bills are 13-1 in home playoff games. And you're going to have some crazy fans there rooting them on. So it's going to be fun to watch. Vic Carucci is our Bills insider. See you tonight at 7:30 for that special edition of Sports Talk Live, Vic. Thank you.
Okay, Michael, thank you.